So the minimal phone, the big reason I wanted to talk about this was because they have updated things since I last did a sort of review of this, my first sort of thoughts review. And I have got, in the not too distant future, I have got a full review planned for this. But I think they said they're going to update it in a big way. It's not good, is it? In June, right? So we'll see. But I complained, oh, you can just see I've missed out the J in June there, look. So it's now hard because I haven't got that, you know, I don't know if you use the finger to scroll on the on-screen keyboard. It's hard to find your exact right place. There's no arrow keys down here. Oh, forget it, I'll just leave it the way it is. And the autocorrect isn't great because it's minimal zone kind of keyboard. It's just, you know, yeah, it's hard to use. And you can also see my complaint as well. In the previous one, it's not very high contrast. I don't really have that much control. I've got some control over things here. I've got a temperature from my front light, and you can see I haven't got any front light on and it's looking fine. At least I've got the kind of dual color front lights. And that's one thing about the Medita that I didn't mention. The Medita also only has cold lights, and that's bad for reading. Like, just having cold lights, don't like that at all. But you can just see, I mean, it's washed out e-ink, and it's not e-ink. This is the thing, whatever OEM they're using for their screen is not as good as e-ink, and they aren't as good at programming for ePaper, let's say, electrophoretic screens, as Boox and Bigme are. So they've got three options. Now, you can notice there, the refresh speed. So you see how it's in that area that has refreshed, it's nice and contrasty now. I press that, it's back to that. But now every change that I make is what they sort of, users of this have termed like disco mode. It's just like rubbish, right? It's just can't use that. Or you've got this, which is X mode essentially. So now I've got like one of the worst looking and low refresh rate. Yeah, it's just not good at all. So this is a kind of X mode, I suppose. Or they've got a middle one, and what the middle one is, yeah, all right. I seem to have to do that every single time. I turn that on from there, so I leave it on the middle one because the middle one is the best out of the three. See if it's worked. Go back to the, oh, it won't go back to the thing now. Yeah, so just leave it on there. And what that now does is it sort of chooses when to change to, see, it goes into X mode whilst it moves, and then it full refreshes and goes to the HD mode. If I just find something that isn't dynamic content. There you go, so now it's back in the HD mode, and that's all right, it's not too bad. But yeah, reading on it just isn't great at all. And that's the same complaint I had about the Medita. And yeah, the input method, the big sort of selling point is this QWERTY keyboard, right? So they haven't got the e-ink screen right. It's not a lovely thing to use for that reason. The QWERTY keyboard is like, I mean, just look at this. It's just bad, right? You can see there, one of the first things I wrote since the update. Gosh, Dan, it is just bad, right? But at least they've added the option to invest the mic symbol. So one of my first complaints was like the little mic symbol that does nothing, by the way, that doesn't go into voice typing. Yeah, which it should. It does nothing. That was the default. And then the full stop. Oh, and the full stop has stopped working now. So I've managed to make the full stop working again. Eventually it came back last time. Yeah, look, now the full stop doesn't work. But at least they've made it such as the full stop key now is default full stop. And you can double tap the space bar at the end of writing, and it'll make a full stop. But it didn't that time. So I don't know what's gone on. I actually had to turn it off and on to get the full stop back. That's what happened. You can see my frustrations, and look how grey that is. It's hard to read. And it just isn't great. Now, perhaps if you used a BlackBerry for the decade when they were a thing, then perhaps you might want this and you might get behind this, understood. But for me, it just isn't ergonomic. The keys aren't easy to press. They're not easy to press accurately. They're not quicker. I don't find that there's any way to hold this phone without giving myself like problems with my tendons here. Just the selling point isn't great, okay? And for me, if you think about this, like there isn't actually a input method which is actually fast enough to capture my thoughts as they happen on anything. There isn't really, even just pen and paper, like that isn't really fast enough for me to write down my thoughts as they happen. And I don't want something to slow me down whilst I type. That's just not the case. I want something to capture my thoughts more quickly and turn it into usable text. And you can see I'm gonna have to spend ages editing this to make it usable. It's just not the thing. The whole idea of slowing yourself down to be more intentional now, I don't buy it. And the clicks aren't that satisfactory. They're fine. Like, I want to love it, I do, but they just aren't, they're not like, it's not like a mini mechanical keyboard or something like that. It's just not great. I hope I'm going to be proved wrong, but I just wouldn't recommend this to anyone at a time. I think it really shows two things I kind of said earlier, how far ahead e-ink the company is compared to the alternative e-paper brands, and how far ahead the big e-ink companies are in terms of their use of e-paper screens and coding for it and getting the best out of them. It really does show how far behind a startup is. All the best to them. I'm glad I backed it. Great project. Glad it's here. Keep updating it. I'll look forward to Minimal 2. And I hope it succeeds for that to be a possibility. The idea of stock Android is good on an ordinary phone, but it's not good on this. And I know they've got their minimal launcher. At least it works with Android Auto. Something to be said there. That's not working here. I mean, can you see how bad that ghosting is on that screen? After a bit of skipping around. This is their minimal launcher. Again, I can see that, like, at least they've developed their own launcher. It's just not good. And I think, like, I've heard a lot of people say it's not meant to look good. I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, it's meant to put you off using it. No, that's not what I want. I don't want something that I don't want to use. I want something that I want to use because it's such a pleasant experience of using. I want something that when it interrupts me, it has beautiful, well thought out tones. I want something that when I do pull it out, it's a great e-reader. The Hybrid Pro is a great e-reader. If it's bad, what's going to happen is that you won't use it, but you're not going to carry it around and not use it. You're going to leave it at home and carry something else. That's my opinion. Moodita have managed to make something that's lovely to hold and to use. Bigme have done it by making a great e-reader that's also a acceptable smartphone. I'd love to hear anyone who's actually using one of these, so either in the comments now or in the chat. I'd love to hear from anyone who's actually using one right now as a daily driver and not living in a world of frustration. So if you're out there and you're actually using this and loving it, please let me know. I'd be really interested to talk about it with you, because I just don't think right now in its present situation. And I think, honestly, even with massive updates, I think they're going to struggle to make this iteration as good as the other options that are out there. This guy just doing a face recognition just to wake up there and looking absolutely splendid. It's having a big issue with updating. This is the problem with it at the minute. And I'm in contact with them and I'm going to try and work it out, but I think it might end up being a factory reset to get it to update. It's like gets this far and then just doesn't do anything. So it's not without issues. And again, the isn't working Android Auto, but look at the way it just clears the ghosting. It's just stupendously good. That ink, that's e-ink done well. And this is a startup's first go at e-ink. Cool. So tell me then if you know anyone who's using it, or you are using it, or you're interested by it.